Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we have a 3v3 on Khatrin Purification Plant. Our first player is going to be RedReVenge, playing as the Space Marine Apothecary. This is a healing commander, targeted heal, passive regeneration aura. Next up, it's going to be BestN00b, playing as the Lord Commissar, a slightly tanky melee hero, already activating that free energy shield. He can also support his troops by shooting them. And finally, for the blue team, it's going to be AssMan, otherwise known as Hunter, and he is going to be playing as the Warlock. This is a melee hero for the Eldar. He can either become a tank or a spellcaster. Their opponents on the red team, we're going to have another Warlock. This one's going to be played by ben1993. Next up, we are going to have a Mekboy played by Slasher, who I think might also be known as Savor, but I'm not 100% sure. This is a teleporting range commander who seems to be stuck into these pipes, and he can teleport around and harass things. And finally, it's going to be Campbell playing as this infiltrating Lictor Alpha, sneaky melee assassin commander with a lot of damage and displacement. So, I know the 3v3 that I did cast just before this one was a very tight and close game, but, you know, if I'm honest, it was definitely more of like a mix of mid-level play, and as I was watching it, I was even wondering if some of the players might even be actually pretty new. Might have been like kind of mixed mid and with a little bit of low level in it. So, the game that I've got right here is one that is very undoubtedly a high-level 3v3 replay, which you don't actually necessarily see all that much. A lot of the game's best players actually prefer 1v1 and 2v2 and don't always have that much interest in 3v3, but here we are with a 3v3. Every single one of these players in this game is very, very good at this game to varying levels. Not all of them might be on their main race, and you might still see some questionable things from them, such as that Dire Avenger squad getting wiped there. A lot of Dire Avengers, as well as some Shooter Boys, however, are going to be shooting at this Sentinel. Or are they? They're going to be targeting the Guardsman. Sentinel is allowed to move up really, really close. And I'm surprised with just how many deaths we are seeing. I think it's kind of just the curse, the caster curse, where I gas up these players, talk about how good they are. And we've seen 2 early squad losses very rather unexpectedly. Sentinel, meanwhile, man, is he being aggressive. This Sentinel, I feel like, is going to have to go soon. There aren't any repairs for it. Oh, this could be a dead Sentinel? No, it won't. Repairs coming in kind of in time? Yeah, they'll be in time. And most of the red team forces have been forced off. Contested victory point not taken yet by either team just yet, although, of course, the blue team should be able to do that pretty soon. Meanwhile, Campbell going to be able to get some generator bashing done here. Most likely already got some generator bashing done. He will flesh hook in a tactical marine model, but there aren't any Hormagaunts for there to really follow up on that. And I do think at some point that we are probably going to see this generator bash. It's probably going to have to be pulled back from by Bruce, but Bruce, I think, is going to see if he can at least finish the node. He hasn't got it yet. One more burst of fire from those Termagants will result in it being taken down. Sluggers will get stomped. No, those aren't Sluggers. Those are some Storm Boys. They will get stomped over by the Sentinel. Sentinel now taking some shots on the actual Sluggers. And, man, where is the victory point? Why has this not actually been capped yet? I mean, we've got very good players here, but it makes me wonder how seriously they're even playing if they haven't even taken this victory point. They definitely had the opportunity to take this victory point while I wasn't looking. They'll finally actually do it, or will they? Dire Avengers here will start opening fire on the Guardsmen, so that low-health Guardsman squad won't be able to complete the capture. The Commissar will take it over for them, while the Sentinel decides to open fire on that Dire Avenger squad. However, not Sluggers, man, mixing up all my Orc units. Shooters, as well as the Mekboy, trying to have something to say about it. But the Commissar will at least finish the victory point, so that will be some victory points ticking down in favor of the blue team at the moment. Multi-laser turret has also been put down by BestN00b to try to lock down this victory point for as long as possible. There's not a whole lot of support for the blue team at this time. All right, meanwhile, on this side, Tyrannus will be approaching RedReVenge, playing as that Apothecary. Going to find himself getting flanked by the Lictor Alpha. I actually don't like that flank with the flesh hook, because that kind of, it didn't really fully capitalize on the strengths of the flesh hook, which is normally you want to use the flesh hook to pull a unit into your army. And if the Lictor Alpha is by himself, then he's not really pulling it into his army. All right, RedReVenge are going to have to make another defense of the power at this point. However, Warriors as well as Hormagaunts have walked right into the firing arc of a Devastator, so they will have to get out of there, and this should make it a lot easier for RedReVenge to answer this fight, and BestN00b will come and help him. You know, on this side, we aren't yet seeing our red team players really make a play for this. Of course, they're trying to get around, so we see they're not just, oh, very nice. We are going to see the Immolate as well as close-range mech fire from the Def Gun, so that was a very decisive and very well-coordinated play to take out the multi-laser turret. I mean, that multi-laser turret got relatively little value. The only value that it got was just the time that it bought from people not approaching it directly. Warlock is going to be upgraded here. We are going to have the Jedi build Warlock, which is the Champion's Robe and the Merciless Switchblade. Makes him very, very tanky. And these Howling Banshees for Ben1993, they're going to have to go or they will get wiped. I think Ben1993 has his attention elsewhere, and he is going to lose that squad of Howling Banshees. All right, meanwhile, our Storm Boys are going to be moving forward. They are going to be doing quite a lot of damage to that generator. Storm Boys do have very high damage overall. They do power melee damage, and I believe the base DPS is 30 power melee DPS per model. That means as a squad, they do 150 DPS. My God, they're going to jump in. This is kind of questionable. I mean, they're jumping right into the turret. That's how far back the blue team has been pushed back. Grenade's going to go in. They will tag one of the Storm Boy models. Another grenade going to go in. These Storm Boys, I think, are going to go. Oh, my God. So, although we're seeing despite how much I gassed up these players, there have been some things that we've seen out of them that have been rather questionable, but there also have been some very, very good plays that we've seen. Apothecary will be pulled in here. I mean, the way... both the rotation for taking out that multi-laser turret was very well played by the red team. The grenade kills, the double grenades from two different players to contribute to the wipe on that Storm Boy squad from the blue team was also very, very well played. And these are things that in more low or mid-level replays you're a lot less likely to see. All right, Howling Banshees moving up. Howling Banshees, I guess, taking cover behind the energy shield, but Rangers not too worried about that. And the Howling Banshee squad for AssMan just going to have to back off, not wanting to just take damage from the Rangers. So Rangers are going to move up forward. They're going to move up to the next energy shield, take another shot at one of the squads. This attrition, AssMan. Yeah, AssMan can't just take this. But at the same time, there's not a whole lot from stopping the Warlock from getting forward. However, the Howling Banshees for Ben1993 are also in there, so it's a split fight on both sides. Grenade will go in. It's going to be a full retreat from AssMan's squads, although just straight up a full retreat, well, except for the Rangers out of Ben1993. Rangers will take a shot on the Warlock. I don't actually feel that that's great a use of their time. I feel like they should move around, look and see where they can... Well, there's nothing else for them to shoot at the moment. All right, meanwhile, we are going to see the approach from BestN00b coming out here now with an upgraded Sentinel as well as a Chimera, as well as some plasma guns and some guardsmen on the Commissars. So very, very predictable and understandable Tier 2 upgrades for BestN00b. Getting the plasma guns. Is he actually... Yeah, the plasma guns... Well, funny thing is, plasma guns actually a little questionable, except if he intends to be rotating over to the lane where Bruce is and trying to tag some of those warriors. Otherwise, the plasma gun's a little bit surprising for him to pick up. I mean, technically, I'm pretty sure there is still a net increase in DPS, even against light infantry when you get plasma guns, but usually the net increase, even against light infantry, is not quite worth it enough to justify the cost of the plasma guns. Anyway, RedReVenge having a tough time of it here. Smite will go in from the Librarian. Does scare off the Warrior Brood, but they don't lose a single model. Man, this Warrior Brood actually walking out here without a single upgrade. Not even a Barbed Strangler. Does actually kind of make me question why the Warriors are even here. All right, Howling Banshees getting into melee, but they will need to get out of there. A Warp Vomit will go in as well. Does stun that Guardian squad that is right next to the Chimera. Dire Avengers, meanwhile, in cover here, but they are about to get overwhelmed. Chimera looking to move forward and put some threat on this Ranger squad. But Chimera also needs to be very, very careful. So does this Guardsman squad. All right, Guardsman squad is getting some reinforcements. This is starting to be a crazy engagement. Zap is being passed alongside some squads. Grenades will go in. Does connect with some of the Warp Spiders. Warp Spiders do now have their Haywire, and the Chimera needs to get away from those tank buses, but the tank buses themselves need to get away because they're nearly dead. That is going to be one squad of Guardsmen going down for BestN00b. Sentinel Stomp will also delay, or rather slow the approach of these Sluggas any further. More Sentinel missile launchers will be shot in. However, the Sluggas right here, rather the Shooters, still mixing up my Orc squads. They're being targeted by this Warlock, who gets yet another sync kill.
We shall make it so. An ally has secured a requisition point.
Tyrannid's going to be moving forward for Bruce Campbell. Venom Brute is now out on the field. Yeah, the Warriors are still honestly really confusing from Bruce Campbell. I mean, again, no Barb Strangler, no Adrenal Glands, or rather, yeah, but there's not even a whole lot of melee on his team. Mostly just the single Hormigaunt Brood. Venom Brood with the range synapse does make a whole lot of sense, though. Smite will go in on the Hormagaunts. Or Hormagaunts. Veil of Time from that Librarian, trying to make it easier for that Devastator Marine squad to get much done. Ripper squad will be killed. Apothecary being burned down, being focused pretty hard. Does he get out of there? He does just barely get out of there. That's going to be a force barrier as well, slowing the approach of the Warriors. So it is just a straight up range fight. We do have the Stern Guard veterans actually switching to Vengeance rounds, I believe. Or is it Kraken Bolts? Oh, they did switch to Vengeance rounds. Then they realized that was the wrong ammo, so then they switched to the Kraken Bolts. They wanted the Kraken Bolts to deal better damage against heavy infantry, against the Warriors to try to get those Synapse backlashes. Yeah, it's still a big question mark for me for what the Warriors are doing at the moment. Now they do actually finally have their Adrenal Glands, so they'll at least be able to support the Hormagaunts. Sentinel Missile Launcher, again, just shooting out missiles, sometimes only shooting out one at a time, rather confusing. Normally it shoots out a burst like that of 3. Needs to be very careful here. That will be a Tank Buster Barrage going in. BestN00b, okay. I think he was trying to, like... he took some of those early missiles. Oh, no, he's getting so close to losing it, but he doesn't. He needs to keep moving it back, I think, because these tank buses... All right, he does pressure the tank buses into retreating. I think BestN00b initially did not respond to the tank buster barrage because he wanted to check whether or not it was like a call on his movement. Sometimes what players will do when they're going to use a tank buster barrage, they'll actually position the barrage slightly behind your vehicle, expecting that you will back up into it. So BestN00b was kind of watching for that, I think, and then when he saw that the tanks, that the rockets were mostly just going directly for him, then he moved back. Ooh, Wraithguard open fire on those Dire Avengers, do a lot of damage to them, but the double Warp Spiders will just teleport away from it pretty easily. Double Warp Spiders, pretty powerful here. I think Force Melee and continued damage can actually kill the Mekboy. It's close, but not enough. Did take over 100 of his hit points from that. I think they considered teleporting forward, but then decided it wasn't worth it. Meanwhile, it's definitely RedReVenge who's having the biggest trouble here, certainly in the head-to-head in his lane. So we do see the rotations coming out of BestN00b. And that's also something that's really tricky in team games. One of the things that is one of the more exclusive challenges of team games, which is if you are the middle lane player, you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. You need to kind of recognize when is the right time to basically make a lane switch, because usually otherwise... usually the middle lane isn't the most impactful. In this case, in this game, we do have the left lane containing the contested victory point, so any time that BestN00b rotates over to help RedReVenge, it does also mean that he's often going to be giving up. He's often going to be giving up this side of the map, and it would allow basically the other team to get a double cap. Rocket Barrage, or Tank Buster Barrage goes in. It's not teleported away from, which honestly is quite a big surprise for me. Meanwhile, Howling Banshees try to get in, but they will just be hit by a Warp Vomit. And this is definitely a lost engagement here for AssMan. He's going to have to move out of there. Chimera coming back in here for BestN00b. BestN00b. Now, the thing about BestN00b, although BestN00b is actually generally, certainly for like the past few months, has generally been considered the best Dawn of War 2 player, or at the very least, the best 1v1 Dawn of War 2 player. In team games, he kind of messes around a bit. Excuse me. So, we see BestN00b here. He barely has any army after taking some of the losses that he had before. And he's going straight to a Baneblade. He's got practically no army, but he'll go for a Baneblade. Normally I feel like from just about anyone else, I feel like we would see probably like another infantry squad. And then maybe like a Lehman Russ. So I think what in particular, what makes the Baneblade a little bit on the questionable side is that it does only have a single squad of guardsmen. We could, of course, also see a repair bunker set up. Oh, this should actually be a dead armor gun brood. I'm not quite sure what they were doing there all by themselves. I do know much of the rest of the army was actually forced off by the force barrier from the librarian, but I'm still just not entirely sure where those armor guns weren't pulled out of there sooner. All right, so Warriors going to be approaching, and Warriors, I mean, now they've got the adrenal glands. I mean, they don't provide support to anything, which does make it a little bit strange. They still get the leap into combat, which is still useful. They're still a little bit on the tanky side, but not tanky enough for this Baneblade, and they lost a model pretty much instantly there from that Baneblade cannon. More tank buster rockets going to go in, barrage as well as regular rocket volleys. Knobs also moving forward. These knobs, what are they going to do about these knobs? Plasma dev shot goes in, does do a lot of damage against the tank busters. Demolisher cannon shot going to be going in as well. Nearly wipes the tank busters, but they will get out of there with 21 of their hit points. Force barrier. Force barrier, not bad against knobs. However, knobs now have been also buffed by the Super Tough Beam. Makes allied infantry 40% more resistant to damage, immune to knockback and suppression. So, obvious synergy with the knobs there. Does also make me wonder if we will see the Mekboy pick up the Avataste for further synergy with the knobs. Alright, meanwhile, Howling Banshee is going to be approaching. Oh my god, Howling Banshee is getting obliterated, though. Just too much range fire being thrown in their direction, and they will go down there. Meanwhile, Warp Spiders teleport in. They do throw a Haywire on the Baneblade, and is that going to... Where's the follow-up, though? There is none. Oh no, Orbital Bombardment in retreat. Oh my god, this is such an orbital. And does the Venom Brood not getting killed in retreat, but this is actually such a great orbital. This is such a great orbital. Like, this is one of the best orbitals that I've seen in years. Like, it's not so much... There's just so many good things about that. It was placed in a position where it was going to catch people in a retreat path, and you had the rest of the team close enough that they could continue to shoot at the units while they were stuck in the orbital. I'm pretty sure that orbital killed every single squad that was caught in it. Alright, a little bit of a slow moment at this time. We do see the Wraith Guard approaching. What are they looking for? They can take a few shots over at those Dire Avengers. They will suppress them. They do take a chunk of their health out. It took like a nice 25% with just a few shots. Meanwhile, Fire Prism is now out on the field for Ben1993. Fire Prism is something that I see often questioned by a lot of viewers, and we're going to see how well Ben1993 does make use of this. He is a very good player. However, this is also a situation where I would honestly be a little bit scared for a Fire Prism. He's up against double Warp Spiders that can actually teleport forward and double Haywire this Fire Prism. So I definitely want to... The Fire Prism, Ben1993 does need to be very careful with the positioning on his Fire Prism. Meanwhile, that's going to be a Singularity. Bunch of Orc Boys get pulled in, get gibbed. Only the Shooter Boy Knob stays alive in that. Meanwhile, on this side of the map, we are going to see some more Tactical Marines, as well as some Stern Guard veterans, and the Librarian going to be knocking over that Mekboy with the Force Barrier. Can they capitalize on this? I think they might be able to kill him in retreat with the Stern Guard veterans. Yeah. That was a nice setup. Double Venom Brood, meanwhile, chasing after this Baneblade. One of those Venom Brood in particular, though, going to be in trouble. Tank Buster Barrage goes in against the Chimera, but not enough. I think that's enough. I think that's a dead Baneblade right there. And it's actually the Fire Prism that finishes it off, and plenty of damage coming out of the Venom Brood as well. Meanwhile, Carnifex, that I've only just seen now, is going to be taken out by RedReVenge. That'll be the end of Bruce Campbell's Carnifex. Looks like it was a ranged Carnifex. Oh, but the Fire Prism has been haywired, and I think this is the end of this Fire Prism. Grenade will go in. It's a little bit of friendly fire there, but a heal comes in time for the Howling Banshees, and they don't lose a single model. Howling Banshees still moving in forward. They'll get into melee with the shooters, looking to get into melee with the Weird Boy. Weird Boy looks like he was suppressed just barely there, but he was able to, I guess, seems like he broke it with maybe with the Warpath or something. It didn't seem like he was suppressed for very long at all. RedReVenge moving forward. Gonna throw in a grenade, but yeah, I mean, against a player like AssMan, he's just gonna move forward, and that grenade's gonna get no value. Grenade on retreat. Oh, complete whiff there, though, on his grenades. More Weird Boy shots coming in, knocking over the Stern Guard veterans. Warriors trying to get in. These Warriors are in way over their head. No Shotgun Blast available, though, so that is just gonna be a retreat away from the Sluggers. Sluggers now going after the RedRevengers. Luckily for them, luckily for the RedRevengers, some of the models are just too far forward. The Sluggers themselves now in a bit of trouble, losing a bunch of models. Librarian doing in a lot of work and nearly takes out the Weird Boy. Meanwhile, Chimera still alive for BestN00b. Look at BestN00b's resources. He's just going for another Baneblade, like he is. That's just it. Oh no! Wow. 2 of those Stern Guard models going down to that looted tank. This looted tank, great at anti-infantry. Like, you see how slowly it shoots its cannon. But when it shoots its cannon, the effect is known. Meanwhile, Boom Shot goes in there. That's the targeted, that's the ability. And that will be 1 squad going down. Another one of BestN00b's, I believe. Yeah, BestN00b with, like, no army. Bruce Campbell, no army either. Warp Spiders teleport in, but that means they're going to be in range to just get meleeed. Be put in melee with the Howling Banshees. A little bit of a questionable teleport for them. Luckily for them, they're able to teleport out of there quickly enough. Oh no, they're not microing away from that Boom Shot out of the looted tank. Knobs, meanwhile, trying to get this victory point. Or are they? No, they're just standing here, actually. They're just standing here. Meaner and Greener, Super Tough Beam, or Super Tough Beam. And I don't think any of them will get pulled into that singularity eventually. Oh, but they'll get pushed over. No, they won't. Oh, yes, they will. I was a little confused. I was pretty sure that ability did ability knockback, but it at first looked like it wasn't knocking over the knobs. Then it did. All right, then. Double haywires going in, but not a whole lot in terms of follow-up. The Warp Spider's literally trying to follow up with Force Melee, which it'll do some damage, but not enough to take it out without any additional support. Oh. Another shot going in from that looted tank, taking a lot of damage off that RedReVenge squad. Another Fire Prism out of Ben1993. And again, another thing where I know how much the YouTube viewing audience doubts the Fire Prisms. And I'm also worried again about Fire Prisms getting too close. So let's see if Ben1993 can keep this one alive. Meanwhile, Venom Brood out of Bruce Campbell, going to be getting a decap on the natural power for RedReVenge, which I think is kind of a moot point right now in the game. I mean, it's something he did pretty well early on in the game, but now I think he might want to help out on this side of the map. Plasma Cannon shot goes in, knocks over the Weird Boy. Meanwhile, the Knob's going to be chasing after the Space Marine army. Shotgun Blast does keep them at bay. Where is the Librarian with that Gate of Infinity? Only thing about the Gate of Infinity is he's going for it, but he was a little too late. 2 Knob models actually get through, but they don't seem to be attacking anything. And eventually it is enough to force the retreat on those Knobs by whose Knobs? Those are Slasher's Knobs or Sabor, or whatever his name is. Howling Banshee's getting into melee, looking for melee with the Fire Prism, but oh no, the Howling Banshees, they're done. That was a huge overextension from those Howling Banshees. Problem with Howling Banshees is that they pretty much can never get into melee with a Fire Prism. However, Warp Spiders, they can teleport in. That looks like they didn't have enough health to complete their teleport and do the Haywire. Another Baneblade, of course. Yeah, new Baneblade out of BestN00b. Meanwhile, we see the Tier 3 Lictor out of Bruce Campbell, so he's got 2 Lictors out on the field effectively. Fire Prism needs to move back. Should never, ever be in range of the Baneblade. Needs to keep moving back. As long as it has something to sight for it, though, it can put persistent damage on the Baneblade without ever being under any threat. D-Cannon out of AssMan has gotten some value, as we've seen. Singularity goes in, but there are no units. D-Cannon, not D-Cannon. This is the Fire Prism now, getting some pretty good value. Fire Prism, another strength of the Fire Prism is that even if you don't have... Well, technically, victory points give vision, but only if you possess them. So even in this case, the Fire Prism can actually stall out this victory point timer indefinitely, because it can just target ground, and then no enemy squad can capture it. Plasma Cannon Shot goes in, connects with the knobs, but they're invulnerable with meaner and greener, but for how much longer? They're already low on hit points. Looks like another push to take out the Baneblade. This looted tank is already so low on health. Lictor Alpha going to be retreating, or is it the regular Lictor? No matter, it is a dead looted tank. It's going to be another Demolisher Cannon Shot coming in from the Baneblade, and that'll knock over a bunch of Orc squads. It does look like this is a winning fight for the blue team at the moment. You know, a Fire Prism moving up close here. Oh my god, those Warp Spiders need to be super careful. So does this Fire Prism. It's actually at the point where it needs to be careful about getting double haywired by the Warp Spiders. They're going for it. If they get it, that could actually be the end, because now the Fire Prism exposing rear armor. They get another teleport in. Fire Prism is continuing to knock them down, however. Haywires will go in, and they should all... Now Force Melee will matter. Why are they retreating? Why are they retreating? He's going to try to kill it with a grenade. Is he going to do it? No. I don't know why they retreated. I mean, yes, the Alt-Arc was there to slow them down, but they could have Force Melee'd the Fire Prism. And I think with only 36 hit points left, I think the double Warp Spiders could have finished it off. Meanwhile, another Carnifex coming out of Bruce Campbell. This one's going to be a Thornback, and it's another one that I'm going to see for the first time, and then it's just going to be gone.
Our foes push into our territory.
Red team looking to take back the contested victory point. Victory points are not in their favor overall. And at this point, the game should mostly converge into a 3v3 in the middle of the map, since there's just not a whole lot of value. Certainly at this point, there's not much to be gained by Bruce Campbell by fighting on this side of the map. There is some to be gained from RedReVenge if he can afford it. Basically, he can get red, but he's already got plenty of red. All right, this is looking like a big fight can be set up. A Warp Vomit goes in on the Guardian so that they are stuck at the moment. The Knobs are going to be chasing after the Chimera. They are in melee with the Chimera. Chimera's going to be getting out of here. Demolisher Cannon Shot does knock over the Knobs. This Chimera trying to play Ring Around the Rosie. These Knobs are just in here by themselves. They finally activate meaner and greener, and this path for the Chimera could be quite troublesome. I was going to say a shotgun blast saves the Chimera from the Knobs, but a Fire Prism Shot finishes it off. That's going to be an Eldritch going down. The Eldritch. Okay, the Eldritch does catch the Baneblade. The Baneblade. Oh no, but there's the double haywire again, and that will be the end of the Fire Prism this time. Grenade gonna go in, not gonna be dodged by the Warp Spiders. That is another dead Fire Prism. He's gonna be making a third. Wailing Doom a little early. I see what he was going for, but Wailing Doom a little bit early there. Wrath of Cain will go off. Does connect with some of the Sluggers. Oh, would have been a lot nicer to have it around, though, when the Knobs got into melee. This is actually not looking good for this. This is a dead Avatar. There's absolutely nothing it can do. I don't know what this is. I think it's more just like trying to see what else he can get. But yeah, that was a dead Avatar. I think ideally Wrath of Cain needed to be saved for those Knobs, but he probably didn't see the Knobs. Meanwhile, what is this going to be? This is going to be a Mega Rumbler. This is a Mega Rumbler out of the Mekboy. Mekboy, oh, he cancels the Mega Rumbler. Yeah, I mean, Mega Rumbler is fun, but I think it would be better off just getting the battery pack for the Knobs. All right. Force Barrier has gone out. Baneblade is still here. Hit by a Haywire, but what's the follow-up going to be? Wow. So that's a 30-minute game ending with a concede when there's still 341 to 143 victory points. So that is the end of the game, rather interestingly. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good night. Blue team, I think, won, by the way.